So, I was at the Royal Ascot the other day with my good friend Tarquin, and he introduced me to something called a podcast. I'd never heard of such a thing before. It sounded like something the peasants would listen to, especially down in areas such as Slough. Anyway, when he suggested I listen to a group called Life is Such, I thought, you, sir, are an absolute cockwomble. You'd be lucky if I didn't slap you with my glove. But I took his advice and gave it a listen. And I must say, it was the most wondrous thing I'd ever listened to, indubitably.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Life of Such podcast. I'm Will, joined again by Callum and Tom. How are you today, boys?
We're recording
Splendid.
on Jesus Day.
Jesus Day.
Yeah, Sunday. It's Jesus Day.
It's the day of the Lord's rest.
Yeah, he's not
He worked for
The day of the Lord's wank.
He had a really just vigorous wank all throughout Sunday, just to reward himself.
Snow.
Exactly.
That's how Antarctica got covered in snow. Science. How have we been this past week, ladies?
Busy.
Busy, yeah, that was the opposite of me. I don't know, I've been fairly busy. I kind of lost track of the days, to be honest. I've just been doing university work every day, but other than that, I've been trying to catch up on sleep.
Oh, that's always a challenge, though.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, well, Callum says, oh yes, but Callum goes to bed every night at 4 o'clock.
No.
Still trying to get a PS5. The struggle.
Well, it's a big fucking struggle.
Dragule.
And then my next thing after that's going to be getting a fucking 4K TV that can do 120 hertz.
I mean, there's
That's
TVs
gonna
out
be
there already
expensive.
that can do 4K 120, but there's no monitors, and I'm looking for a monitor. So
Yeah, I want to get a monitor.
yeah, but Callum's room doesn't really equate to a monitor, so the TV would probably be his best bet.
Hell yeah.
But anyway, before we get into our, I would say, controversial topic of this week.
Could say that.
If you've seen the title, you'll know roughly what it is, so please don't run away. We're not arseholes, okay?
What are you on about? Yeah, we are.
We're just going to be giving
No, you just lick arse.
our thoughts. Callum wants to get... Fuck's sake. Callum wants to give us a lowdown, because me and Tom have no idea about this, but Callum's quite witty with it. So he's going to give us a lowdown of what's happened with the stocks, because I've read a lot about it, but I don't really care too much. All I could think was, I should probably invest. But a good rule of thumb is, if everybody's talking about it, probably not a good idea to buy stock in it.
No.
Am I right? I feel, yeah, if everybody knows about it, it's definitely not a good idea. So Callum's going to give us a quick lowdown of what's happened with like GameStop and whatnot.
Hello, my name is Callum. Welcome to my presentation on why the stock market is currently fucked. So, on Reddit, there is a subreddit called Wall Street Bets. They are a group of amateur sort of stock market exchanges. So, there's someone like Paul, like me, Will, Tom, who...
Fuck you!
You know what I mean. A lot of
Yeah,
Wall
like-
Streeters are fucking minted. We're poor in their eyes.
Anyone that isn't a stockbroker.
Yeah, basically. But they're looking to dip their toes into purchasing stocks, essentially. So this subreddit only had like a few tens of thousands of members on it originally, and yeah. So over the years, they've been just dipping their toes in the stock market, just sort of making small purchases when they can, all of that, and then selling it on for profit or losses, depending on what's happened to the company. And lately, GameStop has really been struggling, especially with the pandemic. And with the stock market, you can do bet funds, essentially, where you bet on a business's outcome. And you can turn a tidy profit if you're correct. So it's like gambling to the extreme, where you are putting fucking tons of money on the line. So, lots of these billionaires, millionaires were placing their funds on GameStop, essentially just closing their doors forever.
Yeah.
And when these people on r/Wall Street Bets heard about this, they decided, fuck you guys, we're going to turn this around. So what they were doing was buying these stocks for GameStop because they were so fucking cheap.
Excuse me.
They were like $70 a share, and they were able to sell them on for nearly $400 to short buyers. So you've got short sellers and short buyers. So Short selling is when you buy stock and then as soon as it goes up in value, you sell it straight away. So you are holding on to it for as little time as possible.
Yeah.
And that's what these people do. And then you've got short buyers where they will buy something quickly when they think it's at a value that they reckon is decent. And a lot of short buyers don't tend to turn down a purchase. So these guys on Wall Street Bets had started making money. Some were giving it to charity. Others were doing it as a basic fuck you to the key street stockbrokers out there who are basically in it for millions, because there's photos back in 2008 when there was the Wall Street crash and you had all of these Wall Streeters pop in champagne for what they'd done, just destroying the stock market, whilst people had no money and were protesting in the streets because of what they'd done.
So I saw the reason I found this quite interesting, and when you brought it up, I said you're going to have to educate me more on that, because I was watching the news earlier this week. I just sat down doing my work and the news was on in the background, and there was some geezer on there, right? Obviously this was big headline sort of news, and not knowing a lot about it, I just left it. But there was some geezer on there, some old bloke. He must have been like his 60s, 70s. He's quite like an old guy, and he was obviously American, and he was like really big, obese fella, and he was talking about like essentially, I can't remember, I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along the lines of it's almost cyberbullying what they're doing to the stockbrokers. And all I could think was like, you ruined thousands upon thousands of lives for your own financial wealth. And now that people are trying to save a company and basically telling you to fuck off, you don't like it. And all I can think was like, karma, if there's anything in the world that proves that karma is a bitch, it's this.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, fucking A. Viva la people. Viva la resistance.
Oh god, yeah.
Jeez.
It was fucking great.
It's mental though. It's caused GameStop share price to go up by more than 700% in a single week. In 1 week, it's gone up that much. It's fucking mental.
We don't even have a GameStop in here, do we?
No. It's an American-only store. It's like
game.
Yeah. Think of GameStop as what GameStation used to be when that was a thing.
Isn't GameStation online now, or did Game buy it out?
GameStation was a part of Game essentially, and Game ended up just fully buying it over and just consuming it, and
Game was still good, but the prices on Game are extortionate nowadays. I remember GameStation used to slap so hard, £25 a PlayStation 2 game.
Yep. But so it's caused this huge backlash from all of these millionaires because they're all angry because they've lost out on their bet money. It's caused a $6 billion loss.
Oh, I'll take it. I'll have the $6 billion.
Oh yeah.
4.7 billion pounds. So what? May not be 6, but hey ho, we move.
So
still a lot of money.
It's more than I know what to do with. I get $1,000 and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, oh.
So back in April, GameStop shares were worth $3.25 a share.
What are they worth now?
Now.
Is that how much you could buy them for or sell them for?
Buy them for.
So you could buy them for $3.
And now you can sell them for $347.
Wow. That is wild.
Yeah, it's mental. But it's also led to the stockbroking companies such as Robinhood, who's the biggest, the most talked about stock exchanger at the moment, whose platform is meant for people like you and I to get into the trading business, essentially. So it's to show you lower value shares, and it's supposed to help you ease your way into it. And their whole premise is to take money from the rich to give to the poor, like Robinhood. However, they have stopped this, but completely stopping the selling of shares of GameStop, and now they're limiting it to 1 share per user. And people are in uproar because obviously it's going against their terms of service, what they stand for.
Trying to get a PlayStation, doesn't it? Jesus.
Yeah, and it's basically people are saying that they've gone corpo, if you want to use a cyberpunk term. They're
I would know, man. I haven't played it.
yeah, well, corpo means just rich arsehole.
Yeah.
Yeah, corporate capital. But all of this does go to show the biggest failures in capitalism.
But there's a few.
Oh, there's a lot of failures. It's ridiculous. And yeah, who knows what's going to happen to the stock market with all of this? Who knows what's going to happen to these Redditors? I hope to God that they don't get sued or anything like that, because I know that the White House is investigating. There are a few members within the White House who are in support of the Redditors.
I'd assume there's a few that are against it as well, though.
Oh, of course.
You know, they've all got their fingers in their little financial pie,
Yep.
so to speak. Yeah,
All
exactly.
fingers on the pulse.
But speaking of how this goes to show the failures of capitalism. There was this guy who wrote a book in 1980, and in this book he essentially created his own political system, which combined capitalism and communism. The book got banned in America for being too communist, and it got banned in China for being too capitalist.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So this guy managed to somehow make a political system that seemed to work using both systems, but because it's too beneficial being one way or the other for whichever country, they don't want to listen. Because with America, especially America, like, we're capitalist here in the UK, however, America is the most capitalist country in the world.
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, because everything they do for money. Wars that they fight are for money because they get the oil. Even just fighting is making them money because they sell arms to rebels who are fighting against their own military sometimes. They sell arms to terrorists, maybe, and sell arms.
You gotta say allegedly, okay?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But
if you don't, we're in trouble. Allegedly. Even
Yeah,
if it's true, allegedly.
Allegedly true.
They allegedly definitely sell arms to their own people. It's okay.
Yeah.
Terrorists, definitely. Same thing. Americans, terrorists, you know. Basically terrorists.
Yeah. It's mad.
Allegedly.
I
think,
and that's not the only bit of controversial news that's happened this week as well. So there's a GOP congresswoman who
what's GOP?
GOP is one of those fucking really, really right-wing groups in America.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember.
I just wanted to know what they were. I didn't actually know. I don't need an acronym. But...
Yeah, but I don't know what an acronym is. But her name is Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she believes in lots and lots of conspiracy theories. She's a complete nutcase. So she believes in the QAnon conspiracy theory, which means Donald Trump is secretly fighting a worldwide child sex slavery ring.
He probably is. He looks like a non-stunner. He looks like he used to hang with Savile.
Yeah. Muslims don't belong in government. 9/11 was an inside job. Shootings at Parkland. No, wait. So this is what she believes, and then I'm going to get onto the thing that's caused quite a stir this week. So 9/11 was an inside job. Shootings at Parkland, Sandy Hook, and Las Vegas were staged.
Wow.
Zionist supremacists are secretly masterminding Muslim immigration in Europe in a scheme to outbreed white people. And leading Democratic officials should be executed. And then her latest theory that surfaced this week.
Just the alien thing?
Nope, even better. So, back in 2018, she had published on Facebook that she believes... so, California gets a lot of wildfires.
Yeah.
And it's resurfaced this week that she believes... the wildfires get caused by Jewish bankers using their space lasers to clear land to build a railway.
What?
Yep.
A railway to where? I was going to say, I was going to make a joke then, but it's really insensitive.
So,
probably best not to.
Tom probably has an idea of what I was going to say.
Yeah,
We're going home!
So she believes that these Jewish bankers are the Rothschilds and PG&E as well. So she believes that they are the ones responsible for these constant wildfires that happen in California, and it's for a railway leading to
Poland.
yeah, to Poland. No, I can't see. All it says on this article is for a high-speed rail project. But yeah, basically, yeah. So let me see what's the best quote. So they announced. So this is what she put on Facebook in 2018. So she's basically saying that they passed a legislation about building a high-speed railway, blah 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 blah. And then she goes, then oddly, there are all these people who have said they saw what looked like lasers or blue beams of light causing the fires, and pictures and videos. I don't know anything about that, but I do find it really curious. PG&E's partnership with Solarin on space solar generators started in 2009.
Just some fat cunt with a laser pen. Just...
So yeah, she's basically trying to say Jews are setting fires using space lasers, and she is a fucking lunatic who's actually a member of their government.
Oh, do you know how funny it'd be if you look who's actually Jewish and then like just like
that would be really funny. But
that would be funny.
Oh,
no, sadly,
some people actually believe stuff like that though.
Yes, sadly, this woman is not joking when she says any of this. She's actually quite clinically insane, and she's a leading senator within the American Parliament.
Well, that's something to do with that country, isn't it? That's a good segue into one of our future episodes. So it's currently in planning because we want to get our shit nailed for this episode. We don't want to have anything up in the air, and we don't want to get accused of anything. We are planning to do an episode suggested by one of the listeners about conspiracy theories. However, we're not. What we tend to do, how we format these podcasts, is we come in with a rough topic, and we each give our 2 cents on the topic at hand. However, with something like conspiracies, we feel like as a three, we need to actually have our shit known and nailed down. Because the conspiracies we cover are quite serious. So we want to get our research done. So that will be released in the coming weeks. We're not entirely sure when our schedules align, we'll do it, but it will take a little bit of planning. So keep an eye out for that. And when that does come out, it'll be our biggest episode yet. It'll probably be about 2 hours. So
it's gonna be a big one. We have to prep a lot for that one, though.
Yeah.
It's gonna.
I'd say we do it for episode 10, because I think 10 is a good milestone for a startup podcast because you've been doing it for 10 weeks. Yeah, so I reckon we could do a conspiracy special.
Maybe the end of February, start of March, that'll be released. So keep an eye out for that. I do think though. Thank you, Callum, for the insight of the news. I do think it's time to get on to.
Thank you for listening to my presentation. Woo. Donation baskets will be handed round. Please give me your money. I need it.
Alright. So, topic of discussion today. We all voted on this, by the way, so this isn't just me coming up with it. There were a couple in the basket before, however, we voted on this. So, the topic of today is how society. Well, it's not really an actual title for it, but I'm going to call it how society. I'm going to say influences gender.
Yes.
Now, little description on this. I am not a scientist. None of us are. We are 3 idiots. This is a disclaimer. We are 3 idiots who don't know what they're talking about, and we just have opinions. So please, don't ridicule us, okay? This is just our opinion. That being said, I believe in science. Okay, I'm a man of science.
I love my science. Yes.
I'm a man of science, and I believe that if something can be scientifically proven, it's true. Right? That's just the basic premise of what we've grown up with.
Sorry.
Like my degree is a science degree in sport. I don't know why it's a science degree, but it's classed as a science degree. So, and I study sports, so I study about anatomy and physiology of the body. So I'm quite familiar with anatomy of, the 2 genders. I believe there are only 2 genders. Some might kill me for this, and I will die on this hill. There are only 2 genders. That being said, you can. So this is where the whole argument comes in. There are two genders. There are male, and there are female. Right at the top of the chain. So if you've got like a list, like a coming down, right at the top, there is a male, and there is a female. That does not mean you can't have transgender male and transgender female. I've met not transgender people, but like I've met people that call themselves like non-binary. I know Callum. I think we all. I'm not going to say her name because I don't know her name. I don't know what her name is anymore.
Yeah, it's a weird one. But she's gone through this phase like.
She's still a she, right?
I don't know.
She hasn't.
I think
we had a friend who was. We'll call her Sophie. Her name's not Sophie. We'll call her Sophie. So Sophie was originally called Sophie. And she was going through this phase where I think she openly said she wanted to transition into a man, right?
No. Right, you've got that wrong straight away. Okay, so let me explain. So, Sophie was a female.
Yes.
And then decided that they...
Scientifically still is.
Scientifically still is. And then decided to become non-binary, so changed their name to a non-binary name and wanted to be referred to as they, them, and other plurals.
What is a non-binary name?
Tried something like Sam or something like that.
Oh, so just one that can be either.
Yeah. Basically. Because her actual name isn't both. Her birth name wasn't non-binary.
Get that.
So I tried to the best of my ability, but I really struggle when I'm talking to. So obviously you do say, when you're talking about someone, you do say they, them, stuff like that when you're talking about them. But when you're actually using what would be a singular within a sentence to describe someone, then
like
it becomes a lot harder. Yeah, something like her, him.
It's difficult.
Then it gets a bit difficult. So I asked her if I could call her it, which sounds horrible, but I just said to her, because it's singular, it's easier for me to wrap my head around, and that way I'm still obeying to your. I didn't say that, but I'm still following. I'm still like trying to appease to this. And she was just like, yeah, that's fine. And then a week later, a friend of mine pulled me to one, so I was just like, yeah, no, she doesn't like it. You need to stop. I'm just like, for fuck's sake, I couldn't win. And then,
this is the thing, you can't win. Right.
But this is when you really can't win with someone like this. But then she decided, so this was once we'd finished college and I'd gone off to uni, saw online that she changed her name back to what it was originally and started being called she, her, this and that.
No, yeah, see, this is why.
But now,
it's so weird.
I think she's become. Hang on, I can load up.
Remember not to say the name.
No, I know.
But this is. I think
I can
this
always
is
edit it out if he does anyway.
True, but I think this is why it's so weird. Because, again, being someone that believes that science is like the be all and end all.
Non-binary male.
Yeah, but what is that?
He, they.
You can't know. So this is what I mean. This is my quarrel with it, right? Even if you're a transgender, right? So say you were born a male and you went to female. I guarantee you. So say Tom's a male, right? And he goes and transitions to a female and becomes...
Thanks.
Hypothetically, you become a female.
I'm not good with tits, though.
Trust me. You won't want me calling you a trans female. You would. I'm assuming you'd much rather me refer to you as just a female.
Yeah, if I was in that position, I would much rather.
Because if I was a transgender female, I wouldn't want someone going up to me and go, "Oh, that's a trans bird." That's a woman.
That's a woman.
Because you've transitioned to that state because that's what you feel internally you are, and your characteristics define that. Right? That's fine. I don't have a problem with anyone wanting to transition between genders, right? If you're a man, you want to be a woman. You want a woman, you're a woman. You want to be a man. At the end of the day, you've got to do what suits your agenda as a person that makes you happy and fulfills your needs as a human, right?
Yeah.
However, you cannot pick and choose. One day you're a bloke, one day you're a woman, the next day you're neither, and then you go to kind of being a man like Sophie here,
but also neither.
that but you can't be a man and not be a man. So like I have a story, and I think I've told Callum this, right? But this is really funny, Callum. When I was in my first year at uni, there's 3 different accommodations, right, at my university. There's like lower, middle, and higher tier in terms of price, and I lived at the lower one. But I had friends in the middle one, and I got added into the middle one's group chat on Facebook. Obviously, I was really confused because I didn't really know many people other than my 2 friends that were there at the time. And there was a girl called, I'm not going to say her name, I'm just going to try and think of another one. So we'll just say Annabelle, right? Okay. And Annabelle put something in the group chat, and I thought, I recognise her. So I clicked on her profile, and this really fucked me off, okay? Because I don't, obviously I've made it clear that I don't care if you're trans or whatever, but you've got to be something, okay? Because biologically you are something. You're not nothing. You are something. Yeah. When I read this, okay, and this, Callum, I'm directing this mainly at you because you are bisexual, right? This woman, and I'm not sure if you know the story, I'm pretty sure I told you, but Annabelle's Facebook, you get like the bios? Her Facebook, she's clearly a woman, right? And her Facebook bio was your favourite non-binary, so it was a play on Spider-Man as your favourite neighbourhood Spider-Man, right?
Oh, God.
And it was your favourite, your friendly neighbourhood non-binary lesbian. Okay? Yeah, listen, it's contradictory, right? And I remember I saw her on one of the nights out of Freshers, yeah? And I was with my flat, and we were integrating with other flats, and we were trying to make friends. It was like day 3 of living in halls. And I bumped into her, and I went, Annabelle, right? And she was like, yeah, and we were talking, and like she bought me a drink, I bought her a drink, having a good time. And me being somewhat intoxicated, you guys know what I'm like when I'm drunk. I have absolutely zero filter whatsoever. I was like, I have a question, and my friend immediately knew what was coming, so he just walked off. And I was like, how can you be? I said, you're non-binary, right? And she went, yeah. I was like, so you're not male nor female? And she went, no, I don't identify as either. And I went, so how the fuck are you a lesbian? And she just looked at me with this really weird gaze. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, to be a lesbian,
you have to be female.
And she went, correct. And I went, so you're a female? And she went, no. And I went, what is gay? Define gay for me. And she went, loving someone of the same sex. And I went, but you're of neither. So how do you explain that to me? And she couldn't. She was like, and I went, you're what? And she went, biologically I'm a female. And I went, there you fucking go. You've just answered my question.
It's so stupid, man.
There you go.
People go, gender is not labelled to your sex. And it's like, yeah, but it is.
That's exactly what gender is.
Gender and sex are the same thing. I don't care what people say. Like, I'm a member of the LGBTQ community, and
Can I just interrupt? There is a slight discrepancy. I'm not sure what it is. There is a slight discrepancy. I'm not sure what it is. They are more or less identical. It's essentially comparing soup to chowder. One is slightly different than the other.
That's an interesting comparison to do.
No. Well, chowder's just a really thick, creamy soup, isn't it? To be honest.
All right, stew to stroganoff. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's the most English comparison ever. Sorry, carry on with where you were. You were saying.
So, like, they're basically the same thing, because your sex is what genitals you're born with, and your gender is labelled dependent on what genitals you're born with. So if you're born with a penis, you're a man. If you're born with a vagina and boobs, you're a woman. There are rare cases where people are born with both, but they are so rare, and they are labelled hermaphrodites. They already have a term. So, but a lot of the time, their chemical imbalance will determine what sex they are more than what genitals they are, because they'll have one functioning genital. But the problem is, it leads to complications, blah, blah, blah. So that's a very rare occasion. But in this sense, where people are going, I identify as nothing, a cow, an Apache, whatever.
Penguin.
Yeah, Penguin.
There's that famous.
It's
Good
fucking
Morning
ridiculous.
Britain, wasn't there?
Yeah,
With Piers Morgan.
One. Yeah.
I hate Piers
is.
Morgan, but that was probably the
Well,
best.
I was like, fair play.
It is basically trend setting because when this first started, it was on Tumblr. Some rich teenager who had nothing better to do wrote a post on Tumblr spouting all of this, and then people who believe everything they read on the internet or want to either set a trend, like my mum, but we won't go into that.
I couldn't tell if he was saying a joke like your mum, or then I clocked he's actually being serious about what you told us earlier.
Yeah,
we're not going to get into it. That's for a future.
Yeah,
that could be another topic.
We'll discuss that another time. But so like people who either want to follow trends or start trends started looking at this post and going, "Oh, I'm starting to think this now," because that's what happens. And then it's just spiraled out of control because social media and people can post this stuff everywhere on the internet and people can look at it. And when you're young, looking at this stuff, it influences you. Because I mean, when I was at school, I went to an all-boys school. When I started having weird feelings towards males, some unnatural feelings towards males, so I really should be burnt at a stake, but fuck it.
I'll do it for you.
I wouldn't say unnatural. I think saying unnatural could be quite offensive to some people. People that are actually gay.
Yeah, but it's fine. I've sucked dick, so it's fine. But anyway. That's why I'm known as a homophobic faggot. I make all sorts of really disgusting homophobic comments.
He's allowed to,
but I'll still happily suck a dick. So, but yeah, when I first started getting like feelings towards guys,
weirdest tangent in anything ever.
Yeah, it really was. But yeah, when I started getting feelings towards guys, because I was at an all boys school, I thought I was gay because I didn't have any women around me. So that's what. So when I first
girls' school across the road,
there was, but I only knew a handful, and they were all twats anyway. So I just didn't.
I can vouch they were dickheads.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and then so I spent the rest of my years at that school thinking I was gay, and then I went to college, and then I realised, oh shit, I get a boner over this girl. Okay, something's off.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I think I know which one you're on about.
You do.
Jesus Christ. Never wanted to drop kick a female so bad in my life.
Yeah. So that's when I realised. So it's all with this stuff. It is all dependent on A, your surroundings, and B, what you are influenced by. So for me, when I first originally thought I was gay, I thought, well, I didn't realise it was because I was only surrounded by guys. But with this stuff about non-binary, there's nothing surrounding you to make you think that way.
It's just a conscious thought process.
It's a conscious thought process that happens when you observe it through other media. Because there is no point in your life you are going to wake up one day and go, "Ha! I have a penis, but I am nothing." There's no way you're going to wake up one day and think that. The only way you're going to start thinking that is if you are reading about other people who are thinking that because some guy posted it online. And it's stupid, and it's one of those really bad trends, I think. It's like, you know, those really dangerous TikTok trends that keep happening every now and then. It's like one of them. Because the reason I see it as bad is it's affecting people's mental health. Because I think a lot of the people who start thinking this way are the ones who suffer a lot with depression and anxiety because they're anxious enough that they can start doubting themselves in that way.
Yeah.
So they're just so easily manipulatable. They're manipulative? Manipulated. Manipulated, yeah, there you go. So easily I think I had a minor stroke. I don't know. Anybody else smell toast? But
no, it's just the entire left side of your body.
I didn't think fast.
He's got his hand in the socket, just.
But yeah, like, because again, like the people who I know who have started thinking this way a few years ago, they too have really bad anxiety and depression.
Yeah,
it is definitely linked, because I know with people who are transgender, they do tend to have depression, but that's because they know what they want to be, but they can't do it until they have. Well. It's a very slow process, because you've got to take the meds first to get your chemical balances correct, and then you can start your surgeries. But again, you need money to start the surgeries. Whereas with this stuff, where it's non-binary, there's nothing to take to do it. You don't do any operations to do it. It's ridiculous. The only time you start doing stuff like that is if you're like the person we know, Sophie, who has come out as being a male non-binary. Then you have to start taking testosterone and have a penis, but you've turned yourself from being a woman into a man to then come out and say you're non-binary.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
Why would you go through all that cost and all that pain and somewhat trauma to only then to say you're still nothing? I don't get it. This is the thing.
Yeah. Because I mean, like,
you're one or the other, but at the end of the day, like, if you want to change into the other one, by all means, become a man, become a woman, but identify as that gender. Don't then say, "Oh, I went through all the surgery, but I'm nothing. I'm still."
They're like the vegans of the gender world.
Yeah. Oh god. So this is. I want to get into Tom. So Callum said, "I'm really interested in Tom's opinion." Okay. Because Callum said, I went to Callum first because Callum is bisexual, right? He's open about it and he's happy as loud about it. So I went to
hang
Callum
on.
first. One
thing I want to say as well. It doesn't matter what I say. Even if I say I am bisexual and a member of the LGBT community, even if I'll still get shit because people hate bisexuals.
Yeah, but the reason I went to you is because you have a different outlook to someone like me, or definitely someone like Tom.
Yeah.
Now I want to hear. You said, I can't. You said something that led nicely. You said something about setting trends, right? And it was all about a trend. And I thought that was a nice segue to get into Tom's opinion of it. So Tom, please enlighten us.
Well, I don't really know where to start with my opinion is on it, to be honest.
Tom is a big trendsetter.
We'll do this as sort of like an interview process. Do you think?
Okay.
Do you think it's a bad thing? Do you think transgender and non-binary are bad?
Transgender, no, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but the non-binary thing, I think, is in a certain respect.
In what way? How would you?
It's sort of pushing people who are very sort of vulnerable in sort of their mindsets with it.
Mentally...
sort of their mental health issues is definitely more prominent in the LGBTQ community, in the sense of people who are transgender or non-binary. You'll probably notice the rates is probably so much higher in comparison to even just straight and gay communities. You'll notice it's a lot higher.
Yeah.
Which is probably another main thing, and obviously they're more susceptible to be manipulated into different, paths to make them feel a sense of security. But even so, they will still come across the same problems with their mental health, which is one of the ones where it's a very touchy subject to talk about, where it does borderline on becoming, a certain degree of illness in a sense.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you've got to be careful. Like you said, it's kind of a touchy subject, and you have to be very touchy. I heard a tinny. You've got to be careful what you say, because you can be what you say can be twisted and misconstrued as sort of like offensive.
Yeah,
and at the end of the day, whatever you say in this sort of discussion is going to offend somebody. Like, you can't please everybody, and whatever you say, you could kiss the arse of the trans people and a straight person would hate you. You could say your honest opinion. There's always going to be someone that is going to go against what you say, which leads on to my next point.
Wait, hang on. We've not finished the interview process with Tom. Tom, please describe the colour yellow to this blind person.
Oh, let's not do it. Cam's still got peas.
It's yellow. Looks like the sun.
I've never seen the sun before.
But I'd just like to close that one with saying I've got no issues with it at all, but it is very questionable sort of how it come about and how it's only become a trend, in this past sort of couple of years. So
this is
a definite increase on it.
Yeah, my view on that is like I mean we're in our early 20s, so I think when we were younger, this sort of thing never really. When we were growing up, I didn't hear about transgender until I was maybe 15. I didn't even know it was a thing. Obviously it was, but it's become a lot more prominent in the
It's more
past.
mainstream.
Yeah, now that
years, right?
now that the gay community is becoming more and more accepted, it became more
Yeah.
prominent. You did hear tales about it, but back when we were kids, it was more. You heard about
Taboo. It was
trans.
taboo
No,
when we
no,
were
it
kids.
wasn't. It wasn't taboo when we were kids. It was we heard about transsexuals more than we did transgenders, because transsexual is, or transvestite is when you're
Yeah.
someone of an opposite sex dressing as the opposite sex,
Yeah,
rather than.
cross-dressing.
Yeah,
But
Someone
then
like Eddie Izzard.
drag queens.
But then
Like Eddie Izzard.
transgender is when you're doing everything to become. So
Yeah.
you're having
Okay.
the hormones, you're having the surgeries to
Yeah, I
become
think
that
it's
opposite
important.
sex.
It's very important to know the difference between
Yes.
those two. But I think off the non-binary topic now, we've all got our 2 cents out of the way about that. I think we've all said we don't have an issue with transgender. There's not a problem with it. None of us have any sort of issue with it. No qualm with it. I don't think it's necessarily
Those
not a natural-
non-binary lot we've got a problem with.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a natural.
Not necessarily a problem though.
It's not a problem because it doesn't affect me, but the reason I hate it is because it's damaging to people, and because I've experienced it firsthand with someone who I cared deeply about as a friend, and I could just see
Oof,
them conflicting themselves constantly, and then they're switching back from being non-binary to being their actual gender to then being male non-binary. It's horrific because these types of people
It's exhausting.
it's exhausting for the people around them, and B, they're never ever going to find happiness, because if they're changing constantly what they are, then they're never going to be happy. Because like with transgender people, they want to become the opposite sex. They become the opposite sex and they are happy because they have finally achieved what they sought out to do. But when your want is to become nothing, you can't actually do that. And because it's only in your mind you're doing it, and there's no way you can change that physically, it's still going to affect you mentally, because there's still going to be that part of your brain going, like, this isn't working, this isn't happening, like, what do I want to be? I've never heard of anyone who has been happy being non-binary yet. I'm sure there's some people out there who could be, but I myself have not seen
I think we don't
someone
know enough,
be happy with
we
it.
don't know enough people to make that assumption. There's definitely people out there, but
One thing that I really hate about it, though, which I think should not be allowed, are the people who are so like Russell Brand and his wife, for example, where they're expecting a baby and they go, "Oh, we're gonna let the baby decide what they want to be," and it's like, no,
Dwayne Wade and his wife.
that's not how it works.
yeah, it's not. That can't run, big man. Like, if this is this is my worry, is that the next generation of kids are going to be born like that, to the point where they're going to have parents that say, "Well, do you feel like a boy or a girl?" Well, at 3 years old, that's not a conscious decision. Like, a good example, in relation to politics, I don't think people should be able to vote for anything politically until they're 21, because I voted. The first vote I had was the EU referendum, right? I'm not gonna say what I voted, but because I don't want to get into politics or anything like that. But I know now what I voted then. I still believe is the right thing, but I also know that I would have a far greater insight now, being 23, than I did when I was 18, because that's 5 years of life. Like, and you learn a lot in 1 year about yourself and what you believe and how you see the perception of Earth, right? And I think that in 5 years, even the 2-3 years from 18 to 21. At 18, I thought I had everything figured out, and then I got to 21, and I was like, I knew fuck all. And now I'm 23, and I'm like, wow, I still know fuck all.
Yeah.
And I think the perception of it, it's good. I think the most important thing in the world is to know nothing, to understand that you know nothing.
Yeah, it's the biggest lesson.
Yeah, if you can truly come to terms with the fact you know nothing, then you stand nothing to lose because you're always going to be able to learn. Which is why I wanted to talk about this, because it's something none of us really know too much about, and I think it's good to get that sort of thing out there, and hopefully we can interact with some people that are listening to this, whether it be Twitter or Instagram DMs or Facebook or anything, or Snapchat, because we've got friends that listen to us, so no doubt I'm going to have a couple of friends messaging me about this.
The thing is, when we're discussing this, we're not saying it in a hateful way. We're saying it in a... It's more of a infuriated way, because A, we don't really understand all the ins and outs of it, and B, because we have seen and understood the psychological part of it, and obviously we're not in these people's heads, the way we see it is these people are suffering in one way or another because of the constant change that they're wanting to do. And I'm more than happy for people to message us and just go, okay, to just explain it to us in layman's terms.
Yeah, please.
And explain why it makes you happy, if you are happy. Because we're not out here to hate on people. We just want to have an understanding of it. But this is currently how we feel. We're not gonna be stuck in our ways forever. If you teach us, we will adapt. I'm still never going to let my children decide their own gender until they're older. Like, I will still label them as male or female when they are born. If they want to dress up as the opposite gender when they're growing up, because, I mean, I fucking did it as a kid. There's a photo of me in a fucking ballerina dress wearing pink flip-flops and a snorkel.
There's a photo of me and you in the Year 5 pantomime, mate, dressed up as the ugliest.
Exactly, yeah.
What a dream. If you want to see that photo, look on Instagram.
Oh, no.
That'll be up.
Oh, you
when you're
bastard.
listening to this, that'll be up now. So if you go over to Instagram right now, at Life is Such podcast, you will find a picture of me and Callum in all our glory, age 10, in dresses, if you're into that sort of stuff.
But, like...
Kids in dresses.
Nonce.
I think at the end of the day, like, if your kid wants to dress up as the opposite gender, let them do it. If your boy wants to play with Barbies, let them do it. If your girl wants to play with Action Men, let them do it. And then when they are older and they can think for themselves, so you've labelled them as male or female, dependent on what genitals they have, and then they're older and one of them goes, I want to be the opposite gender, or I want to be non-binary, you support them. You do it that way. You don't force that choice on them when they are born. It is disgusting. No child should think of that. As a child, you should just be carefree. And
it's almost a level of abuse making them... Because if you're a bloke and you feel like a boy, and your mum's saying now you're a girl and she's making you do all this shit, that's mentally taxing. Like,
yeah.
It's like a good thing to watch. Actually, there's a TV show out there that's based on a true story. It's about this girl who was brought up by her mum, as having all of these severe health conditions.
Oh, I think she was lying the whole time.
Yeah, and she kept on telling her that she's got the mind of a 5-year-old. So, and this girl was like 18 and she's acting like a 5-year-old. But it turned out...
Didn't she end up killing her mum, though?
Yes, she did. She ended up killing her mum when she found out. But it's stuff like that. It's manipulation. You should not... That's what I'm going to call it. What people like Russell Brand and his wife are doing is manipulating your child when they are born. It is a form of manipulation to make them what you want to be secretly. It's like child actors when... parents send them out for films to become big stars and they take all the money for themselves. It's a form of manipulation.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I think now that we've come
I'll have to say that's not in every single case though. That's certain.
That's
cases,
a rare percentage, isn't it? It's a small percentage.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, just label your kid how it should be when it's born, and then just let them decide for themselves in the future, and just be fully supportive of it. Because I've experienced not having the support that I needed when I came out, and it's fucking horrible. And now I have the support, but just I can say from first-hand experience, when you don't get that support when you're a kid or teenager or whatever, it really does fuck you up in your head. And yeah, just let your kid live its life, man.
Yeah, I think now that we've got the non-binary situation of it, I think that's a good way to go into. I want to talk more about transgender. Like we said at the start, we don't have a problem with this. There isn't. I don't think necessarily it's the God-given natural natural state. But you know, if you want to do it, I don't have a qualm with it. I'm not bothered. Like
I think-
I said earlier.
I think I said I think everyone already knows my opinion on it anyway, because I think in the first episode we did, I said if a woman had a penis, I'd be very happy. So
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you're that type
there
of
you
guy.
go.
But like me personally,
You're not picky.
so like me personally, I couldn't date a transgender female. Nothing, not for want of discriminating against it. Just to me, it just isn't something I would like
Yeah.
to go further down the avenue of.
It's
However,
a bit not weird, but it's
yeah, it's just to me it doesn't sit
it's
right. I don't
strange.
think
What
it's
if you
weird,
never
but to
knew?
me- well, this is you would, because there'd be like there'd be science. But regardless, anyway, I want to get into this thing. So there's only one problem I have with the whole transgender thing, and it's not people transitioning, right? It's the fact that society nowadays is so chicken shit that there's a thing, and I've got two case studies I want to talk about. One is off the top of my head that I can just remember because it really shocked me. There was the woman's deadlift record a couple of years ago was like, I don't know the exact numbers, so I'm gonna say like 168. It obviously wasn't, but we'll say 200.
Oh,
right,
I know what you're on about.
for numbers'
Yeah.
sake. So the woman's deadlift record was a certain weight. We'll say 200 kilograms. Obviously wasn't, but we'll say that. And a transgender woman tried to run for the record, and they said no. And she said, "Well, you're discriminating against me because I'm transgender." And they were like, "Fuck, my hands are tied. I'm bollocks. Now we've got to let her do it." And she smashed the record by about 175 kg because biologically, it's a man, and it's got the brute strength of a man, and it's got the muscular genetics and the fast and slow twitch muscle fibers and density
Yeah.
of a grown male. And
But that's it.
grown males are 3 times stronger. If you gave a man and a woman the exact same weight, the exact same height, and the exact same bone density, the exact same workout routine and diet, the male will grow 3 times faster, 3 times the size.
Yeah.
It's just how we're built. That's not being
Well, it's like,
sexist.
it's like, would you even consider it fair if Brock Lesnar transitioned to a female
of course
and put
not.
her in female wrestling?
This is the thing. Nowadays, you've got to let her run. Now, I want to get into this bit. This is what fucks me, because it's not transgender people's fault. This is the point I'm trying to get at. It's society and how we view it. It's almost taboo, but we don't want to say it's taboo, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this. So, a couple years ago, so in recent years, North Carolina in America passed a law that prohibited transgender people from using the bathroom of their choice based on express gender rather than biological gender. So, for those of you who don't understand, if you're transgender, you can't use the bathroom that you want to use. You have to use the one that you're biologically. So if you're a male, if you're born a male but you're a woman, you have to use the male toilet essentially.
Yeah.
It's called the Bathroom Bill. It's the first of its kind, and it specifically addresses the issue of transgender public restroom access. Proponents of the bill argue that allowing biological males and females to use the same restroom will lead to a higher percentage of sexual assaults and rapes,
Yes,
which
it
led
will.
to a risk of public safety. And the opponents argue that the bill is discriminatory against transgender people. What are your opinions on that?
It will
I wouldn't
because
necessarily say discriminatory against transgender people. It's
I-
more coming at it from the perspective of their safety, more than anything.
no. Okay, so the way I see it is there's definitely going to be a lot more sexual assaults because if you think about it, there are some people who, because I think I showed both of you a photo of this transgender woman, and when you both saw the photo, you went, "Oh, she's hot," and then I let slip that
no.
they were actually a man converted to a woman. There are
But
some
but this
males
is the
out
thing.
there.
When you
Yeah,
show
you did us
faces,
dirty
it's
with that
very
one.
it's very hard to tell when the picture you showed us was literally just a woman. Like it was just the upper half of the body. It's very hard to tell.
No, yeah,
because
but
Makeup and whatnot.
the fact is, you can make yourself look like you were born a woman. You can have the
Yeah.
surgeries and the
Yeah, but
makeup
anybody
required to
can
do it.
do that, though.
Anyone can
So-
do it. Someone like me could.
I could do that.
Someone like me who's quite burly and muscular probably would not get as far as someone like Callum.
No,
for
but
example, who's quite
you
slender.
you see what I mean.
Callum could go the full mile.
The fact that you can, so with people who are transgender, because they will have boobs and a butt and the looks, it's very easy for someone who will look at them and just go, "Oh, I want that," and do something to them when they walk into a men's loo.
And they realise that it's actually a transgender.
Well, no,
male
because
and they get sparked
they
the fuck
might.
out.
The thing is, they might have had the surgery.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that one where he's like, help, help! And he just grabs him and he's trying to get on a bus. He's like, you fucking do something, son.
Oh shit!
That
Yeah.
made me laugh. Yeah. Oh god.
Well, that could lead on to another question I want to ask. Do you think that transgender people should have their own bathroom?
No.
Why?
No,
What's the
because
reason for
you know what it's going to become like if you were to do that.
No idea.
The 40s and the 50s with the segregation. White
I mean,
toilet
but
only,
then-
black
It's not
toilet
really,
only.
Not really.
But then that's kind of, you could kind of,
That's a different. It's not necessarily based on skin colour though.
But
That's
then-
the only.
No,
then
but you
that's
get what
kind
I
of
mean.
saying-
It's segregating a community.
yeah,
The
but then
thing
that's
is,
like saying
with no,
we
it's
should all
not.
have unisex toilets because you're segregating men and women from pissing in the same room.
Well,
yeah,
no.
I agree with Will on this one.
Nah, that's
don't-
not saying that.
I think this
It
is,
kind of is because the only difference that you're doing the segregation by is based on sex,
Yeah,
and we
so
are already doing.
you can't say, for example, like you said, you can't say they're segregating trans from like normal because then
that. It's like
the
they
fact-
want that. Though.
the fact that
That's
you have-
the thing.
I don't think they do. I think they would much prefer, and I think this is what we should do. I think if you are a transgender female, you can go in the female fucking toilet, right? And that's
Yeah,
your
go
toilet.
whichever one you want.
Just remove the transgender part. If you're a woman and you're transitioned into a man, you're a transgender male. Just remove the transgender bit. You are now a male. Welcome
Yeah.
to the team. Come in, whip it out, go for a piss.
2 shakes once you're done, then wash your hands.
Any
Yeah.
more than 3 is considered playing with yourself. That's how we work.
Yeah, then you get a couple funny looks like you tugging yourself there,
And
mate.
whatever you do, don't go in the middle urinal.
Don't leave at least 1 urinal apart.
Yeah, you've
Yes.
always
If not 2,
Men
if
have-
possible.
I saw a funny thing the other.
Or
couple
use a
months ago.
cubicle.
I saw a funny thing a couple of months ago that said anyone that's ever been to Wetherspoons has been practicing social distancing since time began. And I was like, fucking perfect. That is. I love that. Absolutely love
that's
that.
good.
But I think that, back to the point, I think that you should still just have male and female bathrooms. And
Yes.
So this is my point, right? Another thing that I find really weird. Where the non-binary people go for a piss, like if they're out, where are you gonna go?
Oh my god, yes.
Where are you gonna go? What toilet are you gonna use? Come on, tell me. I want to know. Do you shit up against a
stable
tree?
toilet.
Wipe it with
Yes,
leaves?
that's another point.
And there's, again, this kind of sounds argumentative if you're listening from the outside and you're listening to me say this shit with like a really smug tone because I can come across quite a dickhead. But it's a genuine question. If you don't, I understand you've got to relieve yourself. If you need a piss, you've got to go for a piss. But like you can't. So back to the transgender thing. Like you can't have a separate. I mean, you can because I'm pretty sure there's places in the world that probably do have transgender bathrooms. But what are you going like? Having a transgender bathroom is no different than letting a transgender female into a male bathroom. Do you know what I mean? There's literally no difference because if you do what I'd say and you let transgender males use the male bathroom, transgender females use the female bathroom, right? Just take the transgender part out of the sentence.
Yeah.
Biologically, if you go down to the root of it, there's still going to be men in women's toilets and women in men's toilets if you take away the whole transgender situation, right? That's still going to be the same thing if you have a transgender toilet. You can't. What you're going to do? You're going to have transgender men toilets, transgender female toilets. Then what are you going to do?
Yeah,
You can't.
yeah.
That would be 4 bathrooms. Could you imagine 4 bathrooms at Waterloo?
Fucking hell.
Could you imagine 4 turnstiles at Waterloo trying to go for a piss at 75p a pop? No fucking chance. I'll get transgender Johnny over there. I'll rip the fucking thing out the floor and off we pop. And another thing that it would lead to,
What?
it would just lead to. Do you know what it would lead to? It'd lead to so many funny stories and trolls.
Oh,
It
definitely.
Oh,
really
yeah.
would lead to so many fucking trolls and shit. Which is sad that people would resort to using that as some sort of comedic outlook. But there are people out there that do it. And I don't think it's right. But, you know, that's what you get for, I guess, kind of trying to fuck with science. But there are people out there that don't agree with this shit, and we're not those people. But I am firmly saying, and I will die on this hill, I think transgender males should be able to go into a male bathroom. I don't feel uncomfortable because they're not going to rape me.
No.
Same way transgender. However, I feel like on the other side, it could be a little bit different. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've never once gone into a female toilet. So like, obviously, we're all males. I know the statistic is like 45% of sexual assaults are actually male victims, right? But I've never once walked past a woman in my 23 years of life and thought she's gonna rape me. However, I know for a fact, because I have friends that are females, as we all do, right? And I've been on nights out with female friends. Callum, you were there with one specifically, in Reading, where women genuinely, and for good reason, are scared on nights out of men.
Yeah.
Fucking good reason. Men can be... The vast majority of men are okay. However, there is a small percentage of ruin it for the majority who are assholes, who are predators, who are vindictive, and who only look at women as pieces of meat and they just want to fucking manipulate and violate them. Now, I think if I was in the bathroom with a transgender male, so she was previously a female, I wouldn't be worried about getting raped at all. It doesn't bother me because I know its chances are it won't happen.
Because the thing is, at the end of the day,
it happens, but
a genetically bred man could still rape you.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
there's nothing to stop Callum from fucking piping me next time we meet. But
that seems so
right,
wrong. I feel like I'm raping my brother.
Yeah, let's not get into that. But I do feel on the other hand, right, on the other flip side of the coin, if you will, I feel like if a transgender female who was previously a male goes into a male bathroom, all big and burly, I feel like I can see why
the intimidation.
Females would be intimidated, yeah, because like say you're a transgender that hasn't sort of finished the procedure, if you will, like you've still got everything down the stairs. I can
still 6'6" and 300 pounds.
It's still always going to be 6'6", yeah. But I can see why women would be intimidated by it because, I mean, you're helpless in that situation. Aren't you? Realistically,
fucking scary, man.
You're helpless. Yeah. If someone grips you up against the wall like Darth Vader's death grip, you are fucked.
Just also, excuse me, you've got a tampon.
You just got to spread your legs and fucking pray to the heavens for forgiveness at pearly gates. But
just walk in there, just like, excuse me, love, you got a spare tampon?
It's
my time of the month.
I think it's funny because like I want to know if any of you have actually if anyone actually like encountered transgender people in real life.
I know two.
My
mum works as a transgender nurse,
so I don't actually know any personally.
So one of them
not
I know.
Personally, I don't.
One of them I know. Tom will know. Do you remember? Oh no, I can't say their name, but I'll tell you after the podcast. They went to the same school as me, and then college.
Oh no, yeah,
same uni,
yeah.
And
really long hair and a trench coat.
Yeah.
Well, I think you showed me the photos.
At uni, they decided that they wanted to become female, and good on him. I started referring by their name, and calling them her, stuff like that. And she would wear dresses and, you know, nice girly shoes, stuff like that. And she started taking the hormones as well. However, there are some people out there whose looks will prevent them from ever transitioning.
In what respect? How do you mean?
As in, even after taking all of these hormones, you will still look like a man. You will still be a man.
No. Like that's what I was saying earlier. If I was to transition to a female, I'm genetically quite a broad guy. Like me and my dad are both the same. We're both big, wide fuckers. Like,
and
my wingspan is fucking huge. I'm a big guy.
Yeah. But the thing is, I'm not saying like just because of how you look you shouldn't do it. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it's just unfortunate.
Oh yeah.
And then there was another person.
It's genetics.
At that uni as well, who felt like they wanted to become a woman. However, they really did not try. I don't know if they were fitting in with, like, feeling like they wanted to fit in with something. But they had a beard, which they refused to shave. I don't think they were taking the hormones. They were basically, and they didn't change their name either. So they had a man's name, and just never changed it.
So
and
they were
it
just
wasn't
doing it for the appearance, maybe?
I don't know.
Just really like dresses.
Maybe, but when I heard that they they'd planned that and that they started doing it, I just sort of, just in my mind, I was just like, no. Just because I feel like unless you're going to put in the effort to actually do it, at the end of the day, it's seeking attention.
Yeah, when you're doing it like that, it is.
Because
If you're
if you are that committed to it, you are going to do stuff that will be either very difficult to change back, or you won't be able to change back. So if you're just labeling yourself as that and then not doing anything about it, at the end of the day, you're still what you were originally, and yeah, it's pointless. So, to all you guys and girls out there who are looking to change yourselves, just go through with it.
Make sure it's what you actually want to do. Make sure it's not just a phase.
Make sure it is what you want to do. Once you
a lot
start
of
taking those hormones, there is no going back. Your chemical imbalance is gonna change.
A lot of the people that end up sadly taking their own life because of one reason or another, be it depression, anxiety, that happen to be transgender, I can guarantee you that a large majority of the reasoning behind that is because they probably realise that they don't actually want to do this, but it's too late to go back. Because once you do go through with it, you cannot go back, like Callum said. I don't actually know, personally, anyway, I don't know any transgender people. I know people that identify as like, non-binary and whatnot, but I don't know anyone that's gone through with the procedure. I've seen them out in public, and I've had encounters with them. The first time, so like, I thought they were going to be like, so for example, you know, RuPaul's drag thing, right? My ex-girlfriend used to love that, and I remember before I went to the university I'm at now, she went there as well, and I went on a night out there, and it was called Glitter Bomb. And I had no idea what it was, and I got so shit-faced at pre-game that, and Tom knows what my pre-game's like, I don't stop. I got so shit-faced I could barely make it in. Luckily managed to get past the bouncer. And I was in the male toilets. I was in this is scared the fuck out of me. I was in the male toilets, and obviously drag queens are men that dressed as women. Right? So I was in the male toilet, and I'm pissing, and I'm in the urinal thing, and I turn around, and Cal's in the layout of the toilet, so there's like the urinal behind us, the cubicle right behind it. So I turn around and I go to wash my hands, and if you look up in the mirror, you can see the cubicles. And I looked up in the mirror, and I shit you not, I saw a 6'4" man, dressed as a woman, looked like a woman, sounded like a woman, just staring at me as she's walking behind me. And I didn't know if it was. I was so confused. And it was someone by the name of Alyssa Violet. If you're into if you're into RuPaul's Drag Race and stuff like that, drag queen thing, Alyssa Violet is, all I know is she's very, they're very famous. And I had no idea who this person was. And it was obviously a bloke, and it was like, do you want to shake my hand, honey? Do you want to get a picture? And I was like, no, thank you. I was really uncomfortable. I was so shit-faced, I was really uncomfortable. And I thought that was a transgender person, right? I later found out that was a drag queen because I watched and I saw her on RuPaul's Drag Race. However, I have had an encounter when I was on a train, and I was going to, I can't remember, I think I was going to see Khalid at the O2 with my little sister. And we were on the tube, and we got off, and my sister was in the toilet, so I was just like standing, you know what the toilets are like at Waterloo, fucking horrible. I was just standing outside, like the benches were round, I was just standing outside, and this person walked past me and got turned away, which is why I mentioned the Waterloo toilets earlier. Got turned away to go into the male toilets because it was clear that they were transgender, and the little Indian person, whoever it was, the little security man that's at the turnstiles making sure you pay your 30p, he was like, no, and turned her away. And I was like, well, where the fuck? In my head I was like, where? I say her, it was a he, transgender, so sorry, he turned him away. And initially I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Because I watched this all unfold from like 30 feet away. I was, what the fuck is going on? And then I sort of, my humanitarian side came out, and I really wanted to say something, but I was so much of a pussy. And I was like, I feel really bad for them because they can't go in the male bathroom.
Yeah.
So they had to go in the disabled one, which isn't a problem. Like, that's a I guess a viable outlet, but it's still not the point. And I was like, that was the first like encounter I had with a real transgender person. And the main encounter was I dropped my wallet and they picked it up for me. That's how I actually spoke to them. But just seemed like a normal person. And before that, I had this really weird opinion of like they're going to be like freaks. Do you know what I mean? Like, but then I spoke to one and I was like, oh. And it was only like a 10-second like, interaction when I actually spoke to them. And I was like,
just
oh.
normal.
Yeah, they're just normal people. But I did check to see if all my cards were there and shit. But like, you know, it's London. It's London. It's London, all right. You know what London's like. London's a shit place to be.
Yeah.
On the best of days. So, I think it's just. I think that all comes down to your perception and how you were raised. But I think the vast majority of people can agree that there's nothing wrong nowadays. Like people, our grandparents, for example, maybe our parents as well, I'd say, completely disagree with the whole transgender thing. I know my parents aren't really too, up in arms about it, but they're not too happy as well. They're either or, it doesn't affect them. But I think nowadays it's becoming more and more accepted to be transgender. But I can't ever see, who knows, I might be wrong, but I can't ever see non-binary becoming this big thing. Like Callum said, I think it's almost like a trend that people are just trying, like young people. I've never seen, there's a very small percentage of people that are above the age of 30 that identify as non-binary.
I don't think I've ever met one that is.
I've met one who works in Boots in High Wycombe. I don't know if you've ever seen her, Callum.
That's why.
It is a woman.
I don't remember the last time I went into Boots.
Oh, I went there with my girlfriend probably like September time because I had to pick up a delivery, and I walked in and I'm pretty sure they're not transgender. It is a woman. You can see it's a woman. Okay, but it had on the name badge, it was like, "Hi, I'm Stacy," right? But underneath she had another one that said, "Hi, I'm they/them," and I was like, "Oh no."
Oh God, really?
Shit.
Yeah.
Did you walk up and go, "Hi, they/them"?
No, obviously it wasn't Stacy, but Stacy, hypothetically, was really nice, like really polite. And when she got my delivery from me, she was really polite. I'm like, "Hope you have a good day," really kind. But I just don't see what I don't see. I guess my quarrel with it is I don't see what they benefit. Like, what do they stand to gain from? What do they stand to gain from doing this? It makes it sound like it's some sort of political agenda. It isn't. Like Callum said again, I'm falling back on what Callum's words were. It's almost like a trend-setting thing that people found, and they're like, "Wow, that seems cool. I can get some clout." Disclaimer: I'm not saying that's why you're all doing it, but I would like to know. So if you are non-binary, please get in touch with us and let us know. I guess let us know your reasoning, because like Callum had a little heart-to-heart thing earlier with everyone. He said that we're not hating on people. These are our perceptions of the situation. If you can change our perception, please talk to us. We're more than happy to get you on an episode maybe and talk about it in the future. If you have good points, we can probably arrange that. We're more than happy to discuss it with you via DM. So please get in touch with us.
I'd say the only way I won't see it as a trend is when you can fully validate it. Because like with the example you gave earlier, Will, when you were questioning this girl about it and she couldn't back up everything. She couldn't justify it. That's what makes me think it's a trend, because if you cannot justify your reasoning behind it as to why this is a thing, then at the end of the day you are just following the crowd. You are just doing what everybody else is doing because you want to fit in somewhere.
When you put it that way, right? Any final words, Tom, before I end on my bombshell and we wrap this up?
No, I think I've said my piece on the whole topic.
This is a segue into another episode. When you put it that way, Callum, religion is the biggest trend of them all. Because
why did I know that was coming?
That can't be justified.
Oh no!
My dad has a very famous, and I'm not sorry for saying this because I wholeheartedly believe that this is true, and it's something my dad taught me when I was younger. I said to my dad, "Why don't you believe in God, Dad?" because I went to a school that wasn't a Catholic school, it wasn't a Christian school. It was just very, all the teachers were very religious, and they tried to push it on us at a young age. Not the school that I went to with you guys, where I used to live, when I was like 5. And I said, Dad, why don't you believe in God? And he looked me in the eye and said, son, if you can prove to me that God exists, I'll believe in him. And I've thought about it since that day. And to this day, 18 years later, I still can't. No one can. So again, we're not going to get too much into that. We are going to wrap it up on that bombshell. If you can prove to me that God exists, please do. If you can prove to me there's a validation for being non-binary, please get in touch with us, because we want to know. We want to learn these things. If you if you think we're coming across as ignorant or arrogant, please get in touch. We're very open people. We're happy to have a discussion with you. We're not assholes.
Well, I mean, I am, but
Other than Callum, but me and Tom are quite nice.
But you know, a couple of episodes ago, I was joking about there being a Callum. I think it was last episode, a Callum rant special.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we're doing a religion special,
that'll be
yeah,
it.
that's going to be the Callum rant special, because I can fill up 2 hours easily about my views on religion. Just saying.
You heard it here first, kids. Tune in next week when you hear the Callum rant special. It's not actually going to be a Callum rant special, but Callum does have a lot to say about this, and so do I, and I assume so does Tom. So, yeah, there's our segue into next week's episode. If you want to listen to us talk about religion, we're not against religion. We just have a lot to say, much like this episode. It'll be a
don't worry. I am actually. I will happily say I'm against religion. Sorry.
Fair enough. Well, there you go.
I have an interesting view on it though, so I think this would be quite a good episode.
So do I. So I think we're going to wrap it up there. It's been a good episode. Again, I want to say one more time, we're not against transgender, non-binary, sexuality, gender fluid people. We just want to put our opinions out there, and we'd like to have an educational, I'll call it a debate. We want to talk to people about this. This is the whole point we started this podcast, was to find people to interact with and almost further our knowledge of topics that we don't fully understand, because we're all, well, me and Tom are heterosexual females, males, and and Callum isn't. So if you do have anything to say, please get in touch with us. Don't hesitate. We are friendly people. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you guys for listening. Say goodbye, boys.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, boys.
Thank you.
Adios.
Adios. Bye-bye.
Bye.